If you're a student, if you're working a 9 to 5, or you're just a regular human trying to balance 50-11 life obligations this fall, well, you've come to the right place. Because if we're being so for real, this time of year is so busy. We're coming off of summer vacation, school is back in session, and then before you know it, boom, it's the holidays, the year's over. I, for one, am in deep need of a fall systems reset. So in this video, we're gonna do it together. I just moved, so we're gonna go through setting up or resetting up my cozy yet productive workspace. We're gonna go through the exact planning systems I'm using as a student. We're also gonna go through best time management practices and resetting my routines after moving across the country. And as a certified type A planner and recovering perfectionist, I'll also be sharing mistakes that I'm gonna try to avoid this fall so that I can keep my peace and sanity intact. Hello, lovely people. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Amira, and on this channel, we talk about mindful productivity, self-care, and building soft systems that support an intentional life. Alrighty, I'm gonna go grab my matcha really quickly, and then we're gonna get right into getting our workspace together, because that's step one. Okay, so matcha is in hand. First thing I want to do just to kind of set the tone is fix up my workspace. As I kind of shared a little bit in the beginning, I am a student currently. We're back in our student era. And so I actually need this workspace not only to like do creative work and hobbies and all that good stuff, but also to study. I kind of need my desk back together. This past week I was pretty much studying with my laptop on my desk, but there's just nothing that hits more than having a good dual monitor setup, and I really miss her. I really miss that. And so we're gonna get our desk together primarily. I had already set up my cozy corner back here, so I have my chair set up, my blankie, my light, etc. If I did it once, I can do it again. So let's just kind of finish this matcha and then we'll get started on our desk. So let's do this. This right here is the moment of truth because I tried to pack her and wrap her. By her, I mean my monitors. I tried to pack them as best as I could. I really bubble wrapped and placed foam padding and everything. So hopefully they held up because I don't want to buy another one. And also I think that they're out of stock at this point. They're so old that I don't even think that they sell them anymore. So fingers crossed that I have intact monitors. We'll see. Okay, so here's where we are. I basically mounted the monitors and did some kind of cord management. If you watched my last office setup video, I showed a little bit of an in-depth. These monitor arms have little clasps that you can push your cords up into. So basically all the cords that are attached to the monitor right now are on the arm itself, and then running down here are these two cords. Right here, as you can see, is my display port where you can plug two HDMI cords. It has a headphone jack, it has USB, all that good stuff. So that's here for now in this little box. I put the HDMIs that are currently connected to both of these monitors. I put them into here, and then once I put my MacBook on the desk, I will probably plug something. We'll figure it out. So we'll see how that goes. I'm just gonna leave this here for now. I didn't really do too much cord organization yet on the bottom. I just wanna see where everything falls first before I go to strapping things down. I'm gonna go ahead and get everything else together, and then lastly we'll do the cord management, and then we'll take a little break and then move on to other things because we have other things to get to. I just want to kind of get into my computer and talk about digital spaces, my favorite digital organization tool of choice, Notion. So I'm actually gonna do something a little bit different and bring this screen closer towards you so you can see. So now my hope is that we can see a little bit better. You can see me, you can see my screen without that kind of screen sharing thing. So let's just kind of dive right into our Notion. So here is my Life Hub. At some point I do want to kind of spruce this up a little bit. I've been doing it here and there, archiving pages that I no longer need. And I have a lot of videos on here. So if you are new here, just a quick little tour. This is my current Notion dashboard. I have my vision board. I have a little clock. I have some reminders. So this is a synced block, and a synced block just basically means it is a block that appears both on multiple pages, how many ever pages you wish. This reminders synced block is both on my Notion dash, since oftentimes this is the one page I might be seeing for the day, and also it's on my weekly planner, which we'll go into soon. And then scrolling down here, I have a bunch of different databases that I've linked. They live in separate pages in my Notion, but I've gone ahead and linked them to my home page. And these are those kind of most used databases. So I have daily rituals, my habit trackers, things like that. I have my gratitude journal, my evening reflections. I have any kind of business, creative tasks from my business hub. And then I have just a quick little jot down of today's to-dos. This also lives in my weekly planner. And then I also have the tasks, like this week's tasks database, that also lives in my weekly planner. So this will basically just show you like my day and my week at a glance. And then scrolling down here, I have like my navigation bar. So I have my glows section, which is my daily reflections page, right? My journaling page, my routines hub, my wellness corner. I also have a weekly energy and mood tracker that I don't really use, but I'm just gonna keep there for now. I have my goals section. This is like one of the most used, obviously. I'm all about planning goals in Notion. So this is like my general Notion setup, and one of my recommendations for how you go about feeling good in your digital spaces is basically just doing what works for you, right? Some people do not like Notion. It does not work for their brain. So maybe you're more of just like organizing your time or your week and your tasks using Google Calendar, and then maybe you use like a notes app or maybe some other external productivity app just to keep everything in place. Maybe you're a Google Drive, Google Docs, Excel stan, and you like to keep all of your stuff in like a Google Drive or maybe a drive on your computer. Maybe you enjoy physical planners. There are tons of cute physical planners, and you can get into it with like the gel pens and the cute highlighters and the stickers and stuff. So maybe that's your vibe. You're more of a physical planning person. Whatever it is, whatever you decide to do, just stick with it, adapt as you go, build on top of those foundations that kind of work for you. For me, in terms of planning my life and making sure all my ducks are in a row, I like to use a combination of Notion and Google Calendar. As I've shared on here before, I like to plan my goals by quarter. So of course, 4 quarters in the year. That's how I like to do it. And then from there, I'll take those quarterly goals, split them into kind of like monthly action plans. If they're goals that require more of a deep dive, they're a little bit more intricate, I'll do monthly action plans. And then in addition to that, sometimes an action plan might require different little bite-sized chunk tasks. So I don't really plan my whole month in advance in terms of like time management, busting out Google Calendar and all that good stuff. So what I will do though, because I do my planning on a weekly basis, I will go ahead and say, look, okay, what monthly action plan do I have to complete this month? How can I split this down further and distribute those tasks throughout my week, slap them in my Google Calendar, and then by the time week 4 comes around, I'm already on my way to finishing up that monthly action plan, right? So that's how I kind of like to break it down. It's like a little bit of a funnel system. And at the bottom of this funnel here just allows me to take action and not feel like my goals are so lofty and unachievable. I'm really interested in, okay, what actions can I take throughout my week, step by step, bit by bit, that allow me to end up achieving this goal. So that's how I do it, and this system works for me. What I want to do now is just like a slight reset of my dashboards. Like today's not the 21st, today is the 23rd, right? So I do have to clean up the dash a little bit, and then I'll probably end up going through my sort folders. In the corner here, you have this little blue folder. It says to sort. I shared this in my digital declutter video. So if you want like a full declutter, we kind of walk through it together, go check that out. I'll link it here down below, and then we'll see you for the weekly planning session. Okay, now we're gonna get into some weekly planning. So what I wanna say about this, I do have a full video that I filmed like a year and a half ago. So I feel like a kind of refresher is long overdue, especially because I'm no longer teaching full-time Pilates. My schedule kind of looks a little bit different than it did when I filmed that video. So for those of you who aren't familiar, I'm gonna do a little bit of an overview of how I use Google Calendar, the Google Tasks feature, and then Notion to plan my life, basically. I utilize a 5-template system to plan my life, and that is my Mindful Life Goals pack. I use it myself, I made it for myself, and I love it, and I still continue to use it 2.5 years later. So basically when I'm in a new setting, I start off with my ideal week, right? I'm no longer working my little corporate baddie job, and I've switched gears a little bit, and so I really need to think about what that ideal week looks like once more. So my ideal week lives in my weekly planning page. So we're gonna open that up. Here she is. So remember that synced block I was telling you about that lives right here, this reminders section, the same thing that's on my Notion dash. I have a little weekly affirmation. Same synced block for my vision board is here. And then I have a quick navigation panel that kind of gets you over quickly to my other pages. I have some quotes, and then I have my to-do list, the same one that lives on my Notion dash. This is also a synced block, so it lives right here. And then I basically have my little tasks database that I kind of use to jot down some tasks, right? When I go to now plan my week, I will then pick out tasks for the coming week and plop them in here, and then they're just front and center on my actual Notion dash. So we're gonna scroll up a little bit into my ideal week builder. We have a bunch of thought starters, which are basically just prompts that I've used to tease out the aspects of my ideal week. Let's go ahead and read them because I wanna see if they still resonate. I think that's the most important part. I don't wanna go into this with just like old stuff, right? And I can even see here, there's like mention of my old job, and that's not a thing anymore. So we're gonna go ahead and change that. What are my non-negotiables? What do I want to protect? I put that my non-negotiables are movement/wellness, deep work, creative hobby, protected time where I will be on D&D apart from urgent calls, and I will not be taking meetings. So I will say this has changed a little bit because as a studious baddie, my study time is going to be protected as well. So I would say movement/wellness and routine time is my protected time. I would also say any kind of rest time, relaxation, this also goes into that as well. And I did put deep work here. It's still the same thing, like deep work / my study block. Those things are protected time. I will be on D&D apart from urgent calls. Basically, I'm gonna change this last bit. So I'm gonna say my non-negotiables are movement, wellness, deep work / study time, protected time where I will be on D&D apart from urgent calls. I think that's good. So how do I plan to work towards carving out my ideal week? What are the small bite-sized chunks and actionable steps that I can take right now? I wrote before, the biggest roadblock right now with a full-time job is not maximizing my time around those working hours. Actionable steps first include getting back into my 10 to 10:30 to 6:30 a.m. sleep schedule, then doing my morning routine, maximizing my 9 to 5 working hours so that I'm not working past 5:30, and really trying to front load my work into the first half of the day. Okay, so basically this isn't applicable anymore. So I would say that my biggest roadblock right now, getting my sleep under control. I really feel like since the moving, getting acclimated, and unpacking. So at any rate, I think my biggest hurdle now is basically getting back to a stable sleep schedule. My late afternoon to evening time, mastering that transition of tasks. so that I can really cut it off by 9 p.m., 9:30 p.m. because I do study here at my desk. I don't really go to the library or coffee shop or anything. I just study here. If I really need to, I will go, but I'm already home. So if I can cut it off, do whatever else I need to do, and then I really want to use that time to read and wind down and do my like regular wind down routine, and then get into bed by 10 and 10:30 to get like my full hours. Basically, I've been getting more so 6 hours, maybe 7, and I really want to be doing like 8, kind of 9, low key, okay? I need that sleep. I'm gonna write that. Next one, I said, when do I feel the most awake, creative, and energized? This has not changed, to be honest. If I had adequate rest, I feel the most energized and awake around 10 to 2 p.m. But I'm able to have spurts of creativity throughout the days if I'm able to sit down and focus long enough. This also depends on where I am in my cycle. Just make sure I check in every day to see where I'm at. This hasn't really changed. I'm a 10 to 2 p.m. girly. If I do have adequate sleep, I can do like a cute 8, but I kind of like to just do my movement, do my morning routine, set myself up for the day. This kind of still stands. So now that we've answered our thought starters, we're gonna scroll down to planning our week. So I've laid it out into a board view here. This kind of just allows me to see things a little bit easier, and then I can always like drag and drop and move these things around as I see fit. So rather than clearing this and doing it all again, because it took a while, I am going to just kind of move things around as needed. Okay, we're back. So she looks a little different. She looks a little different than she did before. It's not like perfect, but I think it gives us like a starting point. And that's the whole purpose of this page here, is to just think through it a little bit before you actually slap it into Google Calendar. I'm also gonna open up my weekly planner in a new tab, because what I will do is just take a peek for the upcoming goals, just to remind myself what goals I still have for the quarter and those monthly action plans, and see if there are any tasks that I have that I can plop into the week. So we're gonna do that really quickly. Okay, great. So we know what's going on. Now I'm gonna scroll down here. Main task is I wanna search for some walking meditations. There are apps, but not only apps, but meditations, like free ones on YouTube, and just create playlists of my faves. So I wanna do that for this week. That context is personal, due date, let's put by the end of next week, priority, put it as a high priority task. I would say not even 30 minutes, right? To actually research like categories to pull out from, I don't think will take that long. We're gonna do that, and then our related goal is meditation, and then related action plan is, we actually have that here, the YouTube playlist of meditations. We're gonna put that for, let's put that for Friday, because that will be like a chill day. And then we're gonna go back into our weekly planner. As you can see, once I put that Friday task on my planner page, it shows up automatically in my weekly planner dash. And then now I'm gonna also take some of the little jots that I have in my to-do list here. I'm also gonna plop them into a day. So now I really just have my to-dos for this weekend just thrown up here, my actual tasks I have here. Something that I really like about just doing this in Notion is that A, if I, for example, don't get to calling the pharmacy here, I can always just move it around. And B, for my system, right, I don't always have a task that is connected to a monthly action plan that's connected to an overarching goal. Sometimes they're just kind of individual tasks, like the pharmacy task, right? If I open the side view, I pretty much opted to just leave this blank. It's just like a quick little task that I can throw in there. For something like searching for my little meditation stuff, this is actually a little bit more intricate because it's tied to an overarching goal that I have for quarter 3, right? So I have that, I'm doing this on Friday, the due date is next Sunday. I have my estimated duration, the context, whether it's personal, professional, etc., the priority level, the demand level, whether it's low energy or high energy. I have the quarter automatically in here, so when I go back to my yearly planning, it's gonna be listed in quarter 3 as well. I have the action plan, and then I have the related goals. So something like this, like the task, is connected to an action plan, is connected to a goal. So it's flexible and it works for me that way because not every little task will be connected to a larger goal, but this just helps me in general manage like more broader tasks, if that makes sense. I'm actually gonna toggle my school stuff off because it has like lecture halls and stuff. And I'm gonna go ahead and actually put in my study blocks, my tasks that I mentioned here. I'm gonna use the Google Task feature to input that, and then we'll come back and we'll review it together. So you can see that the white spaces are actually filled with class, but I'm gonna keep it off again because it has like what the classes are, where like the lecture hall, etc. So I'm just gonna preserve that. But as you can see, like we have to fit the studying in this week where we can fit it in. So this is basically how I've set it up. And then as you can see here, I'm gonna probably blur this if I do toggle on, but if I toggle on, we have a bunch of green here for class and whatnot. So this is basically my calendar. I have the task feature on, so previewing lectures, doing our cards and stuff. And then as time goes along, as I like start to look at things like my content calendar and just like what I have going on, then I'll start to put them into the appropriate blocks, whether it's my content block or my study block. I utilize the task feature heavily, and I did that all within the confines of school, as you can see here. So that's basically how I plan my weeks. It is not too much of a lengthy process like every week, only because I did like my I Do Week builder for this fall. So it's good to reset. Okay, so now I am tired of sitting at my desk. So what I wanna do now is take a little seat in my cozy corner. We're gonna do some Pinterest planning. We're gonna do some intention setting. We're gonna yap a little bit, and then I think that'll be the end of this little reset. So yeah, let's go ahead and get into our iPad on the cozy corner. Okay, so we have our iPad. We're gonna get into our Pinterest planning session. So I feel like my intention for this session is to really just set the tone for the anticipation of fall. I think fall is probably my favorite season, not only because I'm a fall baby, I'm a September baby, but I think there's just something so like warm and cozy, and those are like my colors. So yeah, I think the vibes are just immaculate during fall, and I'm also really excited to be living somewhere with seasons. I just wanna get some inspo for like things that I can have queued up that are cozy and brain off for when I'm like not studying. Hobbies I wanna try, things I might wanna do around the city, treats I wanna make, and then I also wanna see if I can jot down some stuff in my hobby hub just to kind of prepare, right, for those fall hobbies. We're just gonna like sit back and relax and do that together. Okay, here are the vibes. Very fall, very festive, lots of browns, deep autumn, green. I already did a little bit of fall shopping. I have some bucket lists. I have like city vibes. I give the bean here, some things to do in Chicago in the fall. My September bucket list, I'm gonna take inspo from here. Take an autumn picture with you in it. I do want to try an apple pie recipe. Definitely a little like scenic autumn drive, maybe on Lakeshore Drive. That will be really cute. I'm gonna invest in some autumn candles. I don't have them yet, but I will be in the candle section. They have a lot of cute little like mini downtown areas, so it'll be cute to pop in, get some coffee. I do want to roast marshmallows. I love a good marshmallow moment. I will definitely be getting my fall flowers out. That's one of my hobbies, just flower arranging. Not necessarily like the best at it, and I still need to take my classes. I will be in the flower shop grabbing some cute little blooms. And then we have like fall activities here. I guess there's a Halloween parade. Jack's Pumpkin Pop-Up here, Pumpkin Lights. I guess that's by Navy Pier. Fall Fest in Lincoln Park Zoo. That's gonna be fun. I think I did something like that in college. I believe so. We did like the Lincoln Park Zoo. Logan Square Farmers Market. Okay. Ruskin Theater. Go to a brewery. Drunk Shakespeare. Interesting. Okay, we got some things. Go to a pumpkin patch, of course, obligatory classic fall. So I do want to get back. Ooh, the way I stopped watching Vampire Diaries at like season 5, season 6, just to pick it back up again in the fall. I've also refrained from watching Twilight this whole year because I'm doing my Twilight watches, all 5 of them. I'm gonna do my Harry Potter watches. We're gonna bust out the Gilmore Girls. I haven't actually seen Gilmore Girls all the way through. I've seen like bits and pieces of it throughout my childhood, but that could be a little thing. Halloween Town, that's gonna be fun. Yeah, I really do want to bake an apple pie, especially with my fiance because he's more of the chef, if you will. So we could do that together. I don't know about stargazing, child, because we near the city. So, ooh, homemade soups and chili. So we really got into soups. Funny enough, in the spring, and they were like really filling, really like hearty. So we made like a squash soup in the spring, but I feel like the appropriate time to do that is in the fall. So definitely getting into our soup bag again. Ooh, I would love a little caramel apple situation. Yeah, s'mores. I love me some s'mores. Candle making would be fun. I don't know where I'll find the time to do that, but in general, like my hobbies, I want to turn my little watercoloring into like watercolor fall scenic things, like a fall themed watercoloring book. I'm still on the Throne of Glass series. I'm on Queen of Shadows, so definitely will be reading throughout. Maybe there's some fall themed books that I can pick up. I do want to go to a bookstore, so that would be nice to maybe find like an independent bookstore around here. If not, just good old B&N, Barnes & Noble. I'm just gonna get into my hobby hub and just see if I can record some of the hobby stuff, like the autumn floral arranging, fall themed watercoloring book. So let's see what our hobby hub looks like on our iPad. This is her on the iPad. She's so cute. I'm just gonna kind of pick some things out from Pinterest and just jot it down really quickly in my fall activity so I can actually pull from it. What we're gonna do is like autumn floral arrangements and standalone bookstore, preferably for some fall reads, maybe fall themed reads. And then I'm gonna do fall themed watercolor or maybe like oil pastel. That would be cool. I also want to get acrylic markers, so we'll add acrylic coloring fall theme. Okay, cute. We have a long list in our seasonal hobby menu now, so that's good. We're actually making use of our hobby hub, which is very nice. I love it. So loved this little session. So to kind of wrap up, it is getting dark. We've been at this all day, but it's good because sometimes you need an all day reset. Sometimes resets take you a while, and I at least don't do big resets like this every week or even every month. So it comes with the territory. Next, I want to just think through some anchoring prompts for the season, right? Some intention setting for the season. Mainly, I want to do a little start, stop, continue situation. So I have some written down here. Rituals that I'm keeping simple this fall season and this back to school season include doing my Sunday resets. As you saw, I made specific space, right? 4 to 5 hours, probably low-key 6 hours for just like my maintenance and self-care, things that are grounding that I need to do or it's good for me to do every week to carry myself into the next week of just go. I was a work from home baddie most of the time, so I didn't really need to lay out clothes the night before. Now, child, I'm up in people's faces every single day. Like I'm putting on makeup every single day to cover these designer bags. You know what I mean? So I think a couple times last week I left and also this is before we got our dresser from the movers and got to unpacking. But I was so frazzled one morning because I really had to go. I had like nothing to wear. Everything I had was wrinkled because they were in those vacuum sealed bags. If I don't know where anything is, it's gonna be that much harder to prep myself for the next day. So just prepping those things in advance just makes it for a more seamless morning. So maybe instead of spending my time bipping and bopping around, I can use that morning time to get a little bit more studying in, for example. So just things like that. And also now that my classes are like 10 a.m., maybe 11 or 12 p.m., using that time a little bit more wisely. So yeah, I told you that during work, I would literally sometimes crawl out of bed at 8:30 to go on the computer at 9. That has since quickly shifted because I literally can't do that. I'm no longer working from home, so I think that motivation of me having to get up and go be in front of people, go be with people more often, I'm back to getting up at 6:30. It doesn't matter if I go to bed late or early, I'm up at that time. Also, the sun here comes up a little bit earlier, so it's already light by 5:36. So it's better automatically. It also allows me to have more of a morning routine than I did while I was in my corporate baddie era. Also, things that I want to stray away from this fall, right? So perfectionist planning. As you can see, when I was doing my planning, I was like, okay, if it's okay if I don't match my ideal week 100%. When you're a student or when you have kids or you do work that isn't very predictable all the time, it is hard to get that ideal week down to a T, but the whole point of it is like making strides towards a week that you know will make you feel good. Some parts of your week you can control, some parts of your week you cannot control, right? For example, Saturdays, Sundays are pretty much mine for the most part. And so how can I construct that to make me feel good, right, this seasons? And then not getting bogged down in the details. There have been so many times these past 2 weeks where I've had to pivot when I want to study, pivot what I'm working on, and that being okay, because that's just like the nature of how it's going to be for the time being. So yeah, just not like overthinking it, not being so attached to the calendar. Things are going to change, and that's life. That's the beauty of digital planning, is you can move things around. Overcommitting. I feel bad because people have been trying to be like social and do things. I say, look, I need to be back into bed by 10 p.m., 11 p.m. Okay, we need to preserve our energy. Also for me, like I said, I have an autoimmune thing. It's just like tough to, like after a week of just like bipping and bopping around, balancing it all. My evenings, my weekends, that is for after I study and like after I get like my content stuff done. That's just for like resting and reflection and reading, being a human, eating, sleeping. I really do need that rest. Like it really takes it out of me. Even like this past week, I think I fell asleep studying for a couple hours. So I just really need to take advantage of that rest time when I can, because I need it for sure. So definitely not overcommitting. I still like to, especially in such a beautiful city like Chicago, still like to take advantage of what the city has to offer for sure, and like getting to know people. And then I also have ignoring rest here as well, which we just talked about. Things I am doing. So I don't think I coined this term, but I call it like soft structure, right? So I have my soft systems. Funny enough, I think soft systems actually means something different in some type of framework. I think I looked it up one time because I'm like, does anyone use the term soft systems? Because I'm gonna use it. But I think it actually means something. But in our case, we're the soft, ambitious girlies and people over here. If you're not necessarily a girly, right? I use girly as a gender neutral term. But yeah, we're soft people over here. As you can see, I'm in school. I'm ambitious, okay? So I just like to blend the two. So soft systems, as in planning systems, flexible systems, etc., but also soft structure in general, right? Those soft systems lends itself to soft structure. You need to kind of function and be productive in a sense, but also not being so like rigid and beholden to that structure. I hope I am making sense. Also taking breaks when I need to. As you can see in my calendar, like I wasn't really scheduling things like one on top of the other, with the exception of like when I come home, right? Like my transition time between like showering and like dinner and stuff. So things like that, taking the breaks as needed, taking even like a 5-10 minute stretch break, body scan. Yeah, so that's like my little things I'm doing, things I'm implementing this fall to go along with my little back to school moment, but are also very reflective of what the season of fall energy is. In addition to that, right, not starting 8 new routines at once, even with this hobby thing, right, picking things here or there. I just don't want to start a bunch of things or be excited about a bunch of things, buy a bunch of things, and then not do any of that. So really just like taking my time and picking the things, not feeling the need to like rush into that process of picking up all the hobbies and things and starting this new venture and doing this new 8-step routine or whatever. Just simplifying, finding the things that I actually genuinely want to do and that I like doing, and then I can add in incrementally, right? Also setting up Notion systems that I won't revisit. There are some pages that I have archived. My weekly energy mood tracker thing, I haven't busted it out yet. I might have to go ahead and give it up. I talked about not blocking enough restorative time. I need that rest time. And then forgetting physical spaces affect your mental ones. So case in point, as I said, like last week when the movers came, I literally couldn't study because the place was a mess. And I immediately felt better when I at least had the cozy corner set up. Now that I have my desk together, I feel so much better. I can actually study better, I think, than just looking at that one laptop screen. It's more ergonomic, just things like that. And even my Pilates equipment, I finally set up my Pilates area. But just in general, doing your best to tackle those physical spaces, not letting things pile up as they really can when you're busy ripping and running. Carving out, maybe it's 2 hours on a Friday night, or if you are going out Thursday, Friday, Saturday, maybe like Sunday in the daytime, a couple hours, just go through things, do little declutters throughout the week, perhaps. As we said, we probably don't want to let our laundry pile up. It's piled up for the last 2 weeks. So we have the bright idea of maybe we just do that a little bit every day or every other day or something. And also tag team to get that done as well. Yeah, those are my little start, stop, continues, and just things that I want to let go of and things that I want to be doing this fall. Alrighty, friends, so I feel like we accomplished a lot today. We got ourselves in order. We did good. We did a lot of things. We put our workspace together, we did our planning, we did a little inspo session, we chatted a little bit, we did some intention setting together. So I feel great about this reset. It was much needed, especially after moving and starting new things and just like needing a space to kind of like pull it back for a second and get clear on some things. So if you made it this far in the video, as you can see, it's basically nighttime. You are a real one. I hope you leave this video with at least 1 or 2 small ideas of things that you can implement for your fall season, whatever kind of vibes and emotions that you want to embody for fall, what that means to you. I hope it was helpful. If you're craving more cozy inspiration, the next video is all about that. As you can see, we did a little bit of Hobby Hub in Notion, and I'm gonna tell you all about how I built that. Go ahead and like this video, subscribe, and turn your notification bell on so you can get notified once that video drops. Thank you so much for hanging out. I appreciate you so much. I will see you very soon, and don't forget to stay mindful. Bye.